And hello, everybody, hello, and welcome to We Synced It.
I synced it.
Yes, it's a weekly podcast that focuses on all the movies, TV, and entertainment in between. I am one of your hosts, Pat.
And this is Kev, and today we are joined by a special guest. We have Raquel in the house, the creator of Sing, Act, Draw, Shout.
Yes.
Welcome, Raquel.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Awesome.
And Raquel's incredible. She actually just flew in, and I don't know how she's still on the go and still has the energy to come onto the podcast.
Yeah.
There's another word for that. It's called crazy.
So thank you so much for still having the energy somehow to come on and talk about your game that you created. Tell us, what is Sing, Act, Draw, Shout?
So it's a party game for music people, or a music game for party people, however you want to look at it. And yeah, so it's basically what the title of the game is the game. I have a little bit of attention problems and I'm really bad at game directions. So it's like, okay, well, what do you do in this game? You sing, you act, you draw, you shout. And so that's hence the name of the game.
All right, awesome. And tell us, because there's a unique story behind the creation of it.
Yes, for sure. So I'm gonna go way back here, actually, which is weird to say, going way back when you think about like the start of the pandemic, because it's 2023 now, and 2020 was like, it's kind of like weird to think we've been in like a time warp, right?
You know, it's so funny. I've talked to several people about that. I think it's like, you know, when you're trying to forget a bad ex.
Oh,
And you just like erase them from memory completely, and it feels so long ago, and it's like it felt like it was centuries ago, but it wasn't. And it's I think it's we're trying to block out so many bad memories from that year.
Oh God, yeah, it was really pretty rough, and so I can't believe it was 3 years ago, but it was, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how this thing originally started. You know, being that I'm a flight attendant and I was gonna be grounded, it was like, oh my gosh, and there was so much uncertainty, and everyone was kind of going through that. You know, it's like, well, what do you do, right? And so, of course, games were kind of coming back into style with the pandemic, and people were playing, and then weirdly, sadly, my dog passed away. That was like a real catalyst for like needing a creative outlet. And I think through a lot of like tragedies and just like stuff that kind of sucks, like a pandemic, you're like, I need to find something. I need to do something. And so I was stuck in the house with my then roommate at the time, and so we started getting into game creation. We met some cool people through this mentorship program I found online called the Tabletop Mentorship. And it just kind of snowballed from there and springboarded. And so after like a little break, when the world came back, I was like, you know what, I want to make another game. Like, let's do this. So that's kind of how it started going again. And it just, you know, music is my thing. So I was like, let's make a music game. So here we are.
Now, was there like a lot of trials and tribulations making the game? I you know, here at Extreme Action Park has escape rooms, and I was there when they created it, and there was so much testing going on, and there were times where they would come up with like a riddle or puzzle, but then when they tested it out with people, they realized, oh no, you know what, that's not gonna work out. We you know, it worked for us, but it doesn't work for the public. Like, were there moments where you're like, oh, this is awesome, but then maybe your roommate was like, I don't think a lot of people are gonna.
It was a roller coaster for sure. Like that original game that we were working on, which she's actually, I think, still kind of toying around with it. It's a board game. So, and you're still, it's like a puzzle. Like you said, escape rooms. Like you're trying to figure out how to piece it all together so that it's cohesive and it makes sense and it's fun and it's just everything that you want a game to be. And with this game, it was very similar experience. Like I knew I wanted to do a music game, and you know, of course, all games that exist now are pretty much reiterations of other games.
Yeah.
So you want to like kind of take bits and pieces, and I have this big notebook that I was like taking notes, and I was like, oh, I like this idea, and oh, I like that idea, or maybe if I manipulate it in this way, it'll be a better, more fun experience. And it was a lot of trial and error for sure.
Okay. And were there other influences from other games that you were like, oh, this, I want it to be a little similar to that, or is this completely original where you're like, no one's doing it like this, and this is how I want it?
So definitely influenced by other games, 100%. I think the big one for me, which I played pre-pandemic, was a game by Rolling Stone magazine, or it was called Rolling Stone, and it was kind of like, it was funny because, you know, you pick a song and you have to like hum it or mumble it or whistle it or whatever. And I am really, I'm not on key at all, and it's like a tragedy for someone who loves music so much to be so bad.
That makes perfect sense, though.
Yeah.
You know, you love it so much, you can't do it yourself. So.
I know. I love it so much I had to make a game about it, but unfortunately I can't really like sing or hum or whistle or anything. So Rolling Stone game, you know, karaoke, charades, and Pictionary, that's what I tell people. Like with this game, it's kind of like a combination of those three, so.
Okay, and now you did tell us that this is still in the like prototype phase, or?
So I think the original one that I showed you that I kind of printed at home and did a lot of like copy and pasting and even kind of painted a little bit on the box. That one is, I don't know, I'm even a little embarrassed to show it at this point.
Of all prototypes that I've seen,
That's the best looking one.
Yeah, that's the
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
yeah.
Well, weirdly enough, actually, this is kind of, I haven't told a lot of people this, but my dog's paw print was in this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's awesome.
So, a little morbid, but yeah, it's cool. So this one here, I think it's pretty much done. Like, I've been play testing it. I've done probably like well over 20 tests at this point, and they've all gone pretty well. And so like my plan is, I won't be watching them, but I want to take, like, I got a couple versions of that, or copies of that, and I want to give them to people and say, okay, I'm not here, I'm not watching you, I'm not playing with you. What is your reaction? Like, where are there any holes? And so that's kind of my next step. But I'm going to be doing a live event next weekend, and I'm going to be kind of playing on a larger scale. So
Nice.
yeah.
Really cool. Like, so what's the next step? What in the whole expansion process of this project of yours?
So, okay, so speaking of expansions, that's one of the things that I wouldn't necessarily call it a hole. I just noticed that, like, depending on the age group of people that you're playing with, you know, someone might be like, oh, you need more of this, or oh, you need more of that. And so I want to have expansion packs specifically for different genres, like the golden oldies, you know, the hip hop, the wow, I feel old, but like, I don't know, like the Gen Z, like the, you know, the younger kids, I don't know.
The littles, the Xanax, the little Xans, the babies, all those.
Yeah. So I think that would be really helpful, so that you know, because I'm assuming we're probably like around the same like age, because, you know, when I saw your shirt and I was like, yes, can I kick it? Oh no, your shirt, yeah. I was like, okay, so we probably listen to a lot of the same music, being that we're kind of, you know, from that same generation. So I think that that's going to be really critical to the success of the game, is having those expansion packs. But for now, it's very broad, you know, like Billboard 100, songs you hear in bars that like everyone can sing along to, or most people. So I think getting the expansion packs, I'm working right now on a Kickstarter. Hopefully by the time this goes live, I'll have a link for like a pre-launch page, and going to these events to just try to get exposure, like doing a booth, which I'm doing next week, and, you know, building a following. So
now,
Pretty good with music.
I did want to ask a question. This is an old school question from our first like SuperCon video that we were asking people randomly. But because you're into music, I wanted to bring that question back from the dead and ask you, you've seen Back to the Future?
yes.
Okay. You've seen the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. Marty
Yes.
McFly basically saves the space-time continuum by playing Johnny Be Good.
Yes.
If you had that opportunity to be in his shoes and go on stage and play a song, what would you play?
I'm not gonna lie, I've been losing sleep over this. I am literally losing sleep over this because, okay, let me break it down like this. So he plays Johnny Be Good, right?
Yeah.
And so Chuck Berry, you know, maybe or maybe not, we don't really know actually what happens. Like, is he the Chuck Berry that we know and love today because that happened? Or is it something complete, like, or did it go a completely different direction? So it's like, why would we change the history of rock and roll? Like, we've like effed up a lot, but in my opinion, like that's the one thing that kind of has worked out, right? And so if I played it, oh God, we would scare everybody away. They would just be like, whoa, boo, get off the stage. Like, you're not talented enough for this.
That's the same thing that happened to Marty, though.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
She started to, I guess, do that solo, the whole crowd, when they went quiet.
Yeah, they were like, what's going on here?
You say you guys hate it, but your kids are going to love it or something like that.
But so you wouldn't try to like, maybe I'll try something different and...
Okay, so I thought I have two answers, kind of,
Okay.
sort of. Okay, so the first answer is I would play a song that is like very nondescript, like something that nobody knows, so that we don't alter the timeline of rock and roll, because I don't want to do that, right? But then if I had to, if you were like, no, Raquel, you have to pick a song, I'm gonna get like a little bit emotional here. I think the song, it's like a psychedelic rock band called 10 Years After, and they wrote a song called I'd Love to Change the World, and it's like, I'd love to change the world. You know, I'm gonna embarrass myself. But it kind of like brings awareness to like a lot of things that were going on like during that time period. And it's like, if that song was maybe played a little bit earlier and got people thinking about what we could do, you know, to try to make the world a better place, you know, because I don't know, things got weird and they continue to get more
Yeah.
weird. So maybe that one, I guess.
That has to be the most thoughtful answer we've ever got.
Oh.
We've asked people and they're like, no, I'm going to play like the beautiful people from Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
And then
We
you,
bring
then
up-
you come back to the present and it's like, it looks apocalyptic.
Yeah.
And like,
I
We
know.
bring that up. Like, you guys willing to do that? Yeah, we're going to do that.
I get a
It's
little
gonna be fun.
sentimental from time to time, you know. It's probably like the 3 hours of sleep that I had, you know.
I think, were you actually picturing like, oh my God, I would destroy the world every
Yeah.
time you thought of a song? Like,
Yeah. So I definitely have unmedicated anxiety, and I was like, what if I just really mess that one up? Like, I don't want to be responsible for that.
I mean, what song would ruin the world?
Oh.
Could you sing Bills by Destiny's Child? Would that ruin the world, maybe?
wow.
Can you pick?
Well, I was gonna say.
Cardi B. Like,
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, that would be a little bit. I don't know.
you know, I have a lot of friends who have ideas. They have a lot of great ideas and they just don't know how to move forward.
Yeah.
A lot of them get discouraged. A lot of them just don't know where to begin. What advice would you give them?
So, like I was saying, I think everyone's creative process is a little different. For me, I'm a very visual person, and I'm also like very team oriented. So like I like to bounce ideas off of other people. So if you have an idea, you know, talk to your friends who you think would be interested in it, get their feedback, maybe like write it down, do a doodle, like kind of just get like very like, you know, in it physically for me, and like show yourself like what you think it will look like. I think building awareness, like getting people interested on social media is such a great tool, and that is actually very intimidating, you know, because you're like, okay, I have to put myself out there. I have to not be afraid to make mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes. Like, it's just the nature of the beast. And tell yourself like it's okay, like just get up and like keep going, keep moving. And so just keep going, like try something. If that doesn't work, try something else.
Yeah.
And talk to mentors, you know, like the mentorship program that we had. We met some really amazing people through that. And yeah.
How did you find out about that mentor?
I was perusing Facebook, and I was already in like some groups, you know, trying to gather knowledge and information. Like that's like Reddit, Facebook, Discord, which I'm not active on there, but like people are like, oh, Discord is a good one. And just reaching out to other people who have been down that path before and be like, hey, how did you, this is my question. Like, how did you do your trademark? You know, something as simple as that. Like, how did you do that? And ask questions, like get up in there. I love Reddit, Google. They're your best friends.
Yeah.